I, Doris, swear that I shall be a friend to my fellow Dorises, even at social distance.
I, Doris.
I shall wear a mask on the bus and give up my seat to a Doris who needs it more than I do.
I, Doris.
I shall pick up a few bits from the shops to help a Doris who is struggling to get out.
I, Doris.
I shall use my voice to amplify the voices of my fellow Dorises.
I, Doris.
And I shall never vote Tory.
I, Doris.
I, Doris. Hello, Doris.
Hi, Doris.
Hi, Doris.
Just some Doris. You can just ignore us. Don't need to know my name. Girls are all the same. Fags are all the same. Chicks are all the same. Doris is our name.
Hello and welcome to the Dorising podcast, the very first episode. We are the band I, Doris. My name is Doris, or Cassie. Sometimes people call me that.
My name is Doris, sometimes known as Lucy.
And I am also Doris, sometimes known as Kate.
So what do we think about the title of this podcast, Dorising? This word that's popped up in the Urban Dictionary, this verb. Dorising apparently is to engage in inane activity with no consequence. Inane chattering for hours. What do we think about that?
Yeah, I mean, on the one hand, I'm quite affronted, and on the other hand, it is sort of appropriate. So, mixed bag for me.
It's what we do, isn't it?
I think we should own the Dorising. It's just about right.
Let's reclaim it.
Well, it's interesting that it's popped up now, so I reckon that, whoever added that entry into the Urban Dictionary has seen the Dorises and decided that that's what it should be now.
They've definitely been to an I, Doris gig.
I think so.
Or maybe
they've heard the stage banter.
Yeah. There's more banter than gig, really.
Yeah, I think mostly we're just entertaining ourselves sometimes, but that's fine.
So,
and now we're doing it again here on this podcast.
Now in lockdown, there's no gigs at all, so we are just pure 100% bants. That's what we're here for. Well, we're going to be Dorising with some excellent friends today. We've got Miss Eaves, the rapper, joining us all the way from Canada, which is
I love her.
Very exciting.
International celebrity guests. I'm very impressed.
Who else? We've got Sam Dabb, who is the amazing owner of Le Pub in Newport. We've got Stevie from the band T-Bitch.
What a lineup.
Should we listen to some T-Bitch to get us in the mood for being joined by some T-Bitches?
Yeah, let's do that.
Here is Tranaki by T-Bitch.
In this world, they're not alone. Break the walls, free your mind. Be the one you are inside. Tranaki, 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 Tranaki.
Stevie.
Hello.
Hi, Stevie. How's it going?
Hi. Yeah, great. Thank you. How are you?
Oh, good t-shirt.
Excellent t-shirt. I particularly like it with that necklace combo. I might have to get one of those.
How cool is that?
It's great.
It's all the way around.
For the benefit of the
T-shirt says "I Doris."
Okay.
You know, if you're not watching the video, yes.
I mean, we are a little bit biased towards that t-shirt on people, if I'm honest.
It's a damn good t-shirt. We've got a whole room full of them here. If anyone wants to buy any on Bandcamp,
yeah, our in-person merching opportunities have somewhat decreased recently, so we got boxes of the damn things.
So you're joining us from the lovely seaside at the moment, Stevie.
Yeah, we got here about a couple of hours ago. There's a couple of friends camping here from the festival scene, and one of them posted up on Facebook that they were here. So I thought, let's pop down here and have a little socially distanced hello whilst we can. So yeah, they're popped up in their vans. I think everyone just needs a bit of an escape after lockdown.
Yeah, agreed.
So, yeah,
definitely. We were just listening to Traniki. That's your most recent album.
Traniki, yeah. That song in particular, that's like a lot of our songs, that was a protest song. It was about when the review of the Gender Recognition Act was happening last year, and there was a bit of unfortunately a bit of a fight back to that. Some people don't believe in trans rights, and it got very negative, and there was a lot of media and a lot of conversations about it, and so that was me just writing a song and asking the others to come up with something quite angry. It's like a protest song where we're just saying we're here, and we're all here, and we've got to look after everybody. So that's what that's all about. And the rest of it, some of them are older songs. Pretty is actually first song we ever wrote as a band. And we did a really lovely video for that with a local in Southend, a community group which supports adults with learning difficulties and disabilities. And they made a music video for us, and that was really lovely. That's on YouTube. Yeah, and there's a couple of awesome songs in there that Ruth, our bassist, wrote. One called Rights Not Diets and Girls World. Yeah, so it's a bit of a mixed bag, really. I love it. It's a really, really good album for us. I was really proud of it. About 4 years now. No, none of us expected it to last this long. Cool. I mean, there's been quite a lot of, we're all quite strong personalities, as you know, you've met us all, and there's been some rocky moments, but somehow we've kept it going, and yeah, we're still all friends somehow.
How did you all find each other?
That's a good question. We're all just friends. The original, it turned into something different, but the original idea of the band is for me to kind of laugh at myself and this weird gender thing that's going on in my head. I can't find it really difficult to identify it as either of the genders as we're told we should be. And so I thought, well, let's have some fun with this. And then it turned into quite a nice protest band with 4 different perspectives. And Chris was a good friend of mine. Ruth was my best mate. And Kev, I'd seen him about a lot of gigs and I'd spoken with him about it and he was really interested. So yeah, we've got 2 queer people in the band. We've got Chris who's straight and just wants to come along as an ally and shout about feminist issues. And we've got Kev who brings the glam and the fun and the cheeky stuff. And he loves dressing up as well, which is an added bonus. And yeah, and the 4 of us, and then the way it's moved on is we've now got a collective of musicians and it's all about working together in solidarity and fighting for the issues that we shout about. And it's really lovely.
Have you been writing other stuff during lockdown? Have you been writing songs?
Yeah. So yeah, quite a lot because I've been in this in a car park next to the studio. I've been doing quite a lot. We've been recording. There's a new song actually which is a really personal song to the band, called "Every Day's a Gift," and it's about our own mental health issues. All 4 of us have got different stories. When I say the 4 of us, it's the 4 core band members. As you understand, we've got a whole family of band members, and it's all about our different journeys. And in particular, "Every Day's a Gift" is, I don't know if you're aware, but Cheeky Kev in the band has a terminal illness, and he quite often reminds us when we're going off about issues, he just has to remind us that every day's a gift, and he, if anyone can say that, he can. And yeah, and it's about all of our different, it's very personal, and there's lines from all of us in there, and it's got a bit of a cheeky sound to it, a bit of a circus theme tune to it, and something we can all laugh along with, but like also recognise these issues we all have to deal with.
How have you found it, like recording stuff during lockdown? Because I was sort of trying to mentally grapple with how one might do it, but it seems tricky.
It is. So up until now, we've always had this idea that because I travel quite a lot and we're not always together, that we would record parts and then send them around to each other, and we never actually did it, but lockdown forced us into that. So yeah, I recorded, so for this song, I recorded the vocals and the drum parts first, and then I sent them over to Kev, and then he sent them over to Chris, and yeah, so it's been bounced around quite a bit. So yeah, it's the first time we've done that. We've not finished it yet. That's the problem, because we're doing it ourselves. It's taking forever. But yeah, and we've got lots of other bits and bobs we're working on at the same time. Whether we will ever finish them, I don't know. But what we've also got on another project going on, which is the remix EP. Don't know if I've mentioned that before. We have it's the original EP we released, which seems like ages ago. It was ages ago now. It's probably 3.5 years or something. We released the stems to our friends or anybody that wanted to do things with them, and we got back 5 or 6 really good remixes. And yeah, we're releasing that at the end of July. I think, yeah, 31st of July maybe.
Wow, what kind of things have been done with them?
Oh well, we've got one that sounds a bit dub. Yeah, all sorts of stuff. Dub, dance. One of them, Chris from the band, she actually did one, and that is just all over the place. It probably sounds like her head. It's just. You'd have to hear it. I can't even explain it. Yeah.
I want to hear it.
It just goes from one thing to another. Yeah, it's really good. And I don't know if you know Tosca Wilde. Tosca Wilde is Tosca Wilde's an awesome drag act that we sometimes play with, and they've done a remix for us as well in Tosca style, and that's really cool. It's quite like 80s dance.
We've been so productive during lockdown.
I think you made the rest of us look bad, Stevie.
All I've managed to do is cook some food, and that's about it. Sum total of achievements.
I've just eaten food. That's all I've done.
Food is good though.
Yeah, I've stayed very well nourished. You've chosen a song to play for us today. You've chosen Gillian by Dream Nails.
Yeah, please. So basically, I just saw it popped after speaking with you. Then I went onto social media, and then it just popped up, and I was like, "Whoa, this is amazing! It's so much fun. I just love the song."
awesome.
So much fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
Really good.
Have they got a video? I can picture it.
Kate, you must see the video. It's absolutely brilliant. They've got all their mates to do like home aerobics, featuring a special guest cameo from our own Doris.
Oh,
and
nice.
my children,
The children of Doris.
my children are literally in every video that's out at the moment, I think.
They were even in our Hokey Cokey video.
They were, I love that. Thank you so much for asking us to. That was like a whole 10 minutes of lockdown that was full of joy. It was great.
It was so much fun. The amount of people that sent in amazing videos is excellent.
I think that's just exactly what we need right now is hokey cokies and silliness and joy and dancing and
And no matter how cool you are, you could still enjoy the Hokey Cokey.
You can always enjoy the hokey cokey.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't very cool to start with.
I'm Australian, Doris, and in Australia it's called the hokey pokey. There's a fact for you.
Oh, really?
Not cokey.
I think
Hokey.
in America as well.
Why would that be?
Hokey pokey.
Who knows?
That sounds something
kind of
very different.
Yeah, a different, yet somehow boring piece of information for you there.
Oh, I hear a ding dong. Who's at the door?
There's somebody at the
Who's at the
door.
door? Let's see who's there.
Let's find out.
Opening the virtual door. It's Sam Dabb.
It's Sam Dabb.
Hello.
Hi, Sam.
Hi, Sam Dabb. Are you actually in the pub?
I am, yes.
She is. I can see the toilet sign right behind your head.
Yeah, with the arrow pointing just towards your face.
Pointing at you.
I am a toilet.
How are you doing?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. I'm okay, I think. Getting there.
Good. For anyone who doesn't know the work of Sam Dabb or Le Pub, Sam, why don't you tell us a bit about Le Pub?
I walked into the old building when I was 17, got hammered and got thrown out by the then manager, and then went back when I was 18 and demanded a job and got told no for over a year because apparently I drank too much. And then I finally got hired as Christmas staff and told it was only temporary, and 23 years later, I'm still here. So yeah, long journey.
Some resilience.
Yeah.
I mean, I always say that it's the best venue in the UK. I'm a little bit biased, but
Thanks.
I think you'd probably agree, wouldn't you?
I love it. Absolutely love it. It's amazing.
I feel very fondly towards it because it's the very last time that I was in a pub before all of this happened.
You know what?
The pub.
I literally just put my hands in the pocket of my penny because we're all wearing our pennies today for the radio, and I literally just put my hands in my pocket, which is always a bit dangerous to put your hands in the pocket of this penny. But I pulled out this, which is
the
photo of the Doris's.
God.
And this was the last gig that we played just before lockdown at Le Pub. And
it took us like 5 goes to take that because we couldn't logistically fit all 4 of us into the photo booth.
I think this was one that we all rejected as one that should never see the light of day. So this is...
Kate's face is about 17 times the size of anybody else's in that one.
Yeah, I mean, that fringe has definitely grown quite a bit since then.
Yeah, I have so much hair now. So much hair.
I'd like to point out that if I put my hands in my penny pockets, I draw out 2 Christmas hairbands from the Christmas before last.
Hey.
Oh, I like this game. What have I got? I've got
Eventually it'll be
a set
Christmas.
list.
Yeah! Well, that'll be from the gig at the pub, won't it?
And the earplugs. Handy.
Oh, nice.
Pop those back in.
Eventually the pouch will start overflowing with stuff.
I think there should be a new feature of our podcast. What's in the penny?
What's in the pouch? Yeah.
What's in the penny pocket?
Anyway, back to the subject
sorry.
at hand.
Back to the pub in Newport. I mean, has it always been a music venue?
Yeah. when I took over as manager, it was just local bands on Thursdays. And it kind of blew my mind that we had this venue that just sat upstairs for 7 days a week, but we only did local bands on Thursdays. So I started booking touring bands and, you know, different stuff rather than just purely once a week doing a live gig.
Because Newport isn't a city that it is a city, isn't it? It's not a town.
It is.
It's an actual city. It's not a city that you'd traditionally think of as being on the touring circuit, but
it was in the 90s. Obviously, we had the whole New Seattle thing in the 90s. That was pretty big, and Newport was on the map then, but then it kind of dropped off the map. And I don't want to be horrible about Cardiff, but they started opening venues that looked a lot like the venues in Newport and started stealing all our gigs. So we're slowly stealing them back. Yeah, slowly stealing them back.
Right, did Kurt allegedly propose to Courtney in...
So that's the official story, but the story that I've heard from somebody that was there is that he'd already proposed previous, but John Sicolo, being the marketing genius that he was, found out that they'd recently got engaged and made him propose again in the venue, so he could then tell the story and market it for years. Right. That was the story that I heard, was that they were already engaged.
I mean, it's a beautiful story either way, isn't it?
I prefer the second story because it gives everyone an insight into just how brilliant John Sicolo was at what he was doing. I think it just says more about how great TJ's was. He could have proposed in any building, but no, John Sicolo as a person had, you know, the forethought to think, hang on a minute, let's get this to happen here.
And who was on the bill that night?
It was Hull.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah, it was Hull. And there's a funny story with a friend of mine who wouldn't let Kurt in because he didn't have any British money. And he was arguing with her that he only had dollars. And she told him that his fake accent just wasn't cutting it and to get his money out or F off. And then one of Hull's managers came out and was like, what are you doing? Let him in, and dragged him in. I mean, I don't know how true that is either, but that's very much Newport folklore, is that he was refused entry because of his crap fake American accent.
I mean, it's excellent folklore. Let's just go with it.
Yeah,
I think
just
on that
keep
one.
Keep telling it.
Definitely.
I mean, I was going to ask you, like, what little band that played Newport is now the biggest, but I think you may have just got it with Hull, right?
I don't know.
Do you have any better ones?
The Police played their first ever gig in Newport.
Did they?
Oh,
yeah. Fugazi played in TJ's. At one point, everyone was playing TJ's. I mean, you name a band, they probably played in Newport in the 80s and the 90s. It was a pretty cool place to be.
Aww.
And what about in Le Pub? What's the biggest band that you've had through Le Pub's doors?
In terms of numbers, I think Skindred played their first ever gig in Le Pub, and now they play arenas. Kids at Glass House has played here every week for about 2 years, while also popping off on tour and playing 10,000 capacity venues on tour with support from Bon Jovi. And then they'd come here and play for us the next day. And I was like, that's weird, but okay. Yeah.
Have you got any exciting bands up and coming on the roster that we should know about? I mean, obviously, I know that everything is on hold, but theoretically...
Yeah, we've got nothing booked in. We've got some bits booked in. And we've got a Welsh language band called Adwaith in October, but
they're great.
Genuinely, I don't know if it's going to happen. It's very depressing. Very, very depressing.
Have you guys opened up again as of
No, we're not allowed because we're in Wales. And our First Minister is far more cautious. From next Monday, pubs in Wales can open outside only, but we're not going to bother because if we can't put gigs on, then what's the point? We are a music venue. That is what we do. If we get utterly desperate for money, we may have to look at opening outdoors only for a few weeks, but not at the moment. It's not something I want to do. It's not.
You haven't got a lot of room outdoors, have you? There.
Well, Newport Council have been surprisingly, I shouldn't say surprisingly, that's mean. Newport Council have been really supportive, and they've actually turned all of the streets outside into seating areas for all of the pubs to share, and paid for barriers to like put them around so every pub gets their own little area. So, I mean, I think there's going to be 30 to 60 seats per pub provided by the council on the roads, and they're just closing the roads.
It's actually great.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's good.
So if we wanted to open, we're going to have to consider it because we've got some money, but not a lot. And at some point we are going to have to start stressing about it.
Yeah. So with the big announcements yesterday about the money that's being delivered to arts and culture organisations, how's this going to affect Le Pub?
I don't know. I don't know because I've got a lot of faith in the Welsh Government, but by law, they don't have to allocate that money to the arts. By law, they get 59 million from the arts support package, but under devolution, they could decide to spend that on housing if they want. So until they make a statement that it will be spent on the arts, I don't know. I've got a lot of faith in them. I don't think they'll take it all for themselves. But as I said, it's not guaranteed to come to us at the moment, which is a bit of a worry. But
it is.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit about your involvement with the Music Venue Trust, because that's quite a recent partnership.
Yeah, during lockdown, Music Venue Trust have been the most phenomenal powerhouse of an organisation I think I've ever come across in my life. They have lobbied the government daily. They've been attending meetings with DCMS. They've been harassing Oliver Dowden. They've been everything they can possibly do, they've done, while also providing legal support and everything else that venues need. And they started a Save Our Venues campaign, and they got quite a large donation from a couple of streaming websites. And they decided they wanted to use that money to employ coordinators to help with the regions, because obviously Wales, going back to the funding, completely different laws. The English coordinators don't know how to guide Welsh venues around opening because it's not the same guidance. So they employed me part-time to look after Welsh venues, and it's been fun. Tiring, but fun.
So are you on the phones taking calls and just telling people what's coming?
It's mainly emails. We get in touch with venues via email and tell them we've had this today, we've done this today. One of the big things we did was a survey called REVS, which was Reopen Every Venue Safely. And we got every venue in Britain, I think it was 876 in the network, to fill in their costs to make the venue COVID secure, their costs to mothball for 3 months, their costs to mothball for 1 month, their financial forecasts on 1 and 2 metre social distancing. And then we presented that figure to the government in order to get the support and the arts package. We basically went to them and said, look, if you give us £46 million, we can safely mothball the entire sector for 3 months, and you will get your sector that produces £5 billion in income back in 3 months. Whereas if you don't give us 46 million, we predict that 600 venues will close. So basically we put it in Tory terms. Give us money,
that's really
we'll
powerful.
make you more money. Give us more money and we'll make you more money. There was no point going to them and asking them nicely. They weren't going to do it. You have to show them where the money is.
So are you feeling positive at the moment?
Yeah, I really am. Wales has already had a lot more funding than England anyway, because I don't really know how it happened, but within 3 weeks of lockdown, an organisation called Creative Wales set up a £400,000 fund for grassroots music venues and distributed that. So venues in Wales that's why we can afford not to open next week. Venues in Wales are quite a lot more secure than venues in England. So I think...
And better as well.
Yeah, way better. Much better. We're fantastic. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting few weeks because obviously there's a lot of people struggling in the arts industries. It's not just grassroots music venues. There's freelancers, there's artists, there's larger venues, there's organisations that do non-music, the theatres, the ballets, and everybody wants a piece of that cake, and everybody is entitled to a piece of that cake. So it's now going to be just trying to make sure it gets shared out fairly, and that so I don't know if I should say this or not, but let's just hope ballets and the operas don't get it all, because that's what normally happens.
I know that's the tragic thing. I mean, would anyone really care if ballet just stopped being a thing? I mean,
no, I don't think it would.
Oh, Doris, you Philistine, darling.
Yeah, come on now.
I think my argument with ballet and opera is, like, I don't want to stereotype, but the people that enjoy it are generally quite well off. So why can't they effing pay for it?
Yeah.
If they want to enjoy these highbrow arts that only they enjoy, why can't they pay? Because they're the ones living in mansions and driving 7 cars and having 4 holidays a year. Why can't they sacrifice one of their yearly holidays to fund the bloody ballet that they love so much? People that go to punk rock gigs don't have the money. It's cultural parity is the phrase that makes me so angry. There is no cultural parity in this country.
No.
And European subsidies as well. Every other country in Europe although we're not in Europe anymore, but that's a whole different conversation, and don't get me started. Do not get me
Don't go there.
started. No. They're all subsidised in Europe. All grassroots music venues in Europe are subsidised, and we have 0 subsidies in this country, and it's just, it's wild. But Music Venue Trust have done a phenomenal job of taking like 800 people that were running businesses on their own and feeling completely lonely and all failing. I mean, we are still failing. No, there is no grassroots music venue in Britain that makes money. That's been blatantly obvious when we're looking at all these figures. But we're not doing it on our own anymore. So instead of sitting like stressing because I don't know if I can pay the rent next month and how the hell are the joiners in Southampton doing so well because their social media says they're doing so well, I can now sit down with them and the other venues and we can all go, oh my God, are you screwed as well? Oh yeah, totally. And then we can all look at massive like solutions that we can come together and try and fix things. And that's what Music Venue Trust did, was take 800 venues and say, look, you're all doing the same thing. You're all doing it really well. Help each other. And it's been really amazing.
Are they all independent venues, or do you also work with venues that are part of breweries?
There's a couple of classifications. So you've got your grassroots music venue, which is basically an independent. Then you've got your grassroots music pub, which we do also support. Is someone like a Brains pub where the landlord wants to put on gigs, and we'll support him do that because most of the time they're in towns where there is no venue, so they become the venue. So they're filling that gap, and it's just you have to classify things like that. Mm-hmm. It's quite difficult because I don't want to say, no, you're not part of our club to someone is putting on amazing punk gigs 3 nights a week just because they're in a brewery-owned pub. They're still great people.
Yeah, for sure.
Cassie and Lucy, do you remember one day you needed a drummer to help you out and we did a gig at the pub and I came and played drums for you?
Yes.
And it was, that was my first experience of the venue and I loved it. And there was a guy and his band, Mick Artistic.
Oh yeah, Mick Artistic. I loved him.
He was so funny. And I ended up at Glastonbury Festival last year. I think I followed him around and saw him about 5 times in different areas because every single time I was laughing my head off. He was brilliant.
Tell me about Mick Artistic. I haven't heard of him.
He's a guy from Leeds. He's got hilarious songs. He's got one called Sweet Leaf of the North, which is all about this little leaf that was on his car when he drove all the way down from Leeds down to London to do a gig and all the way back again. And just stuff like that. It's really funny. You should have a listen.
He is great.
Really nice guy as well.
And he's got a song about fox as well. I always love bands that have got
Plastic Fox.
Plastic Fox, that's
Plastic Fox. It's got a snail on it, said. Plastic Fox.
Plastic Fox. Plastic Fox at the top of the garden. Plastic Fox curled up like a child. Pride of place next to the water feature. Plastic Fox, he's got a snail on its head. Plastic Fox. Plastic Fox. Plastic Fox. Plastic feet and a plastic tail. Out in all weathers, wind or hail. Lying in the garden, covered in snow. There's a bit bitten off of its plastic toe. Plastic Fox. Plastic Fox. Plastic Fox. Butterflies flutter up and down the garden. The washing line's empty, except for some pegs. The lady of the house, she's making some lunch. A small piece of toast and some scrambled eggs. Plastic Fox. Plastic Fox. Plastic Fox. Plastic Fox, it came out of a box. Plastic Fox, it was a present from a son. Plastic Fox, he went straight in the garden. Plastic Fox, the grandkids love it. Plastic Fox. Plastic Fox. Plastic Fox. Gnomes with fishing rods scattered round the garden. A blue and white windmill under the trees. But the Plastic Fox is the centre of attention. Plastic Fox with his plastic knees. Plastic Fox. Plastic Fox. Plastic Fox. Plastic Fox. Oh.
Plastic Fox tea towel now. He's got a great line of merch, hasn't he? He's got teapots and all sorts.
Sean McGowan's got tea towels now. It's a really weird thing. A lot of bands seem to be doing tea towels now. It's a really strange merch line.
I have to go on to that one.
People have moved into tea towels.
Why don't I, Doris, have tea towels? We totally should have tea towels.
I think that might be the next move.
We can't sell the sodding t-shirts. Maybe if we shift these couple of hundred t-shirts we've got in my spare room here.
Ding dong!
There, ding dong.
Let's see who's at the door. It's Miss Eaves. Hello.
Miss Eaves, hi.
How are you?
See everyone.
Am I right that you were just having a Chinese lesson?
Oh, no, French. I'm actually in Quebec. I'm trying to immigrate. So I need to pass a French test so I can immigrate to Canada. I took an English test on Friday. I'm scared I failed. It was so hard. And so, I'm working on my language skills.
Oh, Trey Bon. I don't know where I got Chinese from.
No, that's
maybe
quite
I can
different.
learn. Yeah, it's very different.
Well, welcome to the podcast. We've got Stevie from T-Bitch and Sam Dabb, who's the manager of a venue that we love called The Pub. And now you. This is lovely.
Yay.
Everybody's here.
Shall we play a Miss Eaves song? I was going to play Thunder Thighs because that is the big hit so far, isn't it?
It's the smash hit.
Let's hear the hit.
Chub, rub, the day is just heating up. So what? These boy shorts are inching up. Thick thigh sundress, I'm looking good. Thick thigh sundress, I'm looking good. Big butt, these pants are tight enough. High cut, want 'em to cover my gut. Mom jeans all day, why you mad though? Mom jeans all day, why you mad? Thigh highs, rolling on a downslide. Cause my thighs are thick and wide. Thick thighs, they defy these tights, man. Thick thighs, they defy these tights.
Thunder thighs, thunder thighs. Thunder thighs, thunder thighs.
Oh my, got them thunder thighs. Boom, clack, they smack when I stride.
Thunder thighs, thunder thighs. Thunder thighs, thunder thighs.
Oh my, got them thunder thighs. Boom, clack, they smack when I stride. Chub, rub is hot, thighs gonna touch. Chub, rub is hot, but I'm not bothered. Thick thigh sundress, I'm looking good. Thick thigh sundress, I'm looking good. Big butt, these pants are tight enough. I'm stuck, they only go halfway up. Mom jeans all day, why you mad though? Mom jeans all day, why you mad?
Thunder thighs, thunder thighs. Thunder thighs, thunder thighs.
Oh my, got them thunder thighs. Boom, clack, they smack when I stride. Thighs thick, thighs juicy. Don't be jelly when my thighs shake. Ooh, thighs thick, thighs juicy. Don't be jelly when my thighs shake. Ooh,
Thunder thighs thick. Thunder thighs thick. Thunder thighs thick. Thunder thighs thick.
thighs thick, thighs juicy. Don't be jelly when my thighs shake. Ooh,
Bit good.
Yeah.
It's so good. It's so good. The video for that just completely blew up, didn't it? It was
It
just
did.
crazy.
It was wild. It was like the only thing in my life that's ever blown up.
It's something like, I just had a look, was it 2.2 million views you had? of
Yeah,
that?
it's so many views.
Did you make it yourself as well?
I made it with my friend April. So April and we co-directed it. And then April and her business partner, Max, they both were like DPing, like directors of photography. And I produced it. Like I like chased down, like I super stalked that ice cream guy in the video. And I was like, hey, you want to be in my video? Call me. And then he didn't call me and I got upset. So I found him again. Like I just walked through the streets of Brooklyn and I was like, hey, why didn't you call me? I don't like that. So he came to be in the video.
It's brilliant. And the people in the video, were they friends?
Yeah, it's about half and half. Like, I mean, because all of my videos, I want them to be super inclusive. So, half of the people are people I already knew or people that April or Max knew. And then we went on this casting agency site and we just posted an ad that's like, who wants to be in a body positive video? And we just looked, I mean, because I'm always trying to make my videos as inclusive as possible. So yeah.
It's just a really kind of affirming video for anyone who's got big thighs, really. Certainly me.
My thighs are a lot bigger now than they were at the start of lockdown. I'll tell you that. A lot bigger. I didn't realise how many steps I was doing every day just in work. And then you don't have work and all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, I haven't moved in 3 weeks.
Right, that's a real problem. It's like the lack of mobility.
I've taken up roller skating. So 44 years of age and taken up roller skating.
Amazing.
I love it. It's the best.
Are you going to be, I'm picturing you around Le Pub with like trays of drinks.
Yeah, this is the dream. This is the dream. This is the dream.
Yeah, you have to make it happen.
So is the quarantine over in the UK or is it still going on?
It's still on.
It's still on.
People seem to feel that it's over. There seem to be some people who are going out quite a lot. Yeah.
It's also
the government haven't actually made it clear though.
No. It's a lot more relaxed in England than it is in Wales and Scotland as well. So it's really weird. Yeah, it's really weird trying to work out what we can do. Because in Wales, we get to watch the central television, central for all of the UK, and they give us all these rules. And then suddenly it'll be like, oh, shit, no, that doesn't apply to me. I'm not allowed to go there now. So it's really odd.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Like in Canada, the quarantine, I guess, is over. We're supposed to socially distance, but people are like having outside parties, like without masks. And that makes me so nervous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
So is that where you've spent all of lockdown in Canada?
Yeah, it's such a dramatic tale. Like, I came here, originally I was just learning French for fun. So I was like, hey, it will be fun in February just to spend a month in Montreal, see my friends, like do this intensive French class. And then halfway through, it was like, pandemic. Oh no, like quarantine, shelter in place, the border's closed. And so like, I mean, I don't know if I could get back to New York if I tried because the border is closed. Right. So now I'm like learning French for immigration. So now it's like so much more serious than before. I'm like, I have to just like learn this language so I can pass this test and so I can feel like stable in my life and not just, I'm just, you know, like in the middle of two lives as I am now.
A friend of mine was living in Canada for 2 years and she came home for a 3-week holiday in early March and is still here because she can't get back. I think she gets to fly out. I think she's been told 2 to 3 weeks now and she can start booking flights, but she's like, her flat's just been there. You could have lived in it.
Where in Quebec or like?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
What? I could have lived there.
Yeah. She'd have loved it because she could have watered her plants and everything.
I would have sang to them. I would have told them stories.
She's just constantly stressed on the internet about her plants. And oh my God, my plants, no, they're all going to be dead.
No, that would have been perfect.
You have to accept this now.
Oh, rats. Yeah, like my apartment, like my roommate's there, luckily. So, and all my plants are made of paper mache. So no problem there.
So what's behind the decision to emigrate?
Well, I've always wanted to live in Quebec, right? But I've been like dragging my feet like, oh no, it's fine. But now I'm just like, hey, I should just try. Like I'm here. Like when do I have an opportunity of having zero social life where I can just really just learn a language, just focus, like when I'm not working my day job, just focus on learning French. And so I was like, let me just do that. Let me just try. Like, I mean, I'll be sad if I didn't try. Like, even if I try and I fail, that's one thing. But if I never try, like, that's such a bummer.
Have you translated any of your own songs into French yet?
No, I probably won't. I don't. Because, I mean, I'm a rapper, so I'm not really, like, there's no tonality. It's pretty flat. And I think the rhymes are going to be harder to, like, translate. You know, like, it has to hit the rhymes. But maybe I'll make a French little verse.
What's French for thunder thighs?
Cuisse. I don't know the word for thunder though, but cuisse is thighs. Made a grand cuisse, peut-être. Je sais pas.
Sounds good to me. I mean, I'd give a stamp, but I don't make rules. And have you been writing much at the moment? You've probably got other things on mind.
I like I don't know if y'all felt this way, but the first like 2 or 3 months of quarantine, I was just too anxious to be creative. So it's just really hard. And then everything I would write would just sound like a bummer. So, you know, it's just like, okay, like maybe it's time for me. That's why I was like, let me just throw myself into French. And my day job is I work, I'm a designer for different social justice organizations and some racial justice organizations. So that's been super busy. And so I've just been like throwing myself into that.
So have you been working full time all through this?
Yeah, like it's been super intense. Like at the beginning, I was in school for 5 hours a day and then I would work for 8 hours. So I would literally wake up, like take a shower, like eat some oatmeal, go to school for 5 hours and then work until I fell asleep and do that for like 2 months.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And now I've switched it up. So it's like the school, like I felt like I could spend less time just having a private tutor. So now I have a private tutor I work with and it's just an hour a day. And then I can independent study for 2 hours. And then that way I have like more downtime to just exist as a human and not be studying and working constantly. But it was pretty intense for a while. It was like I was designing this 100-page book and like in school 5 hours a day, and it was just like a lot.
Wow, that is a lot. Crikey. I mean, again, we were just saying earlier how inefficient some of us feel for having done absolutely nothing in lockdown.
Except Stevie, who's been recording tons of stuff. I'm so impressed with that.
We're all different, aren't we? We've got our own ways of dealing with things. And for me, like the way that I deal with things is shouting into a microphone and that's let it out. But we've all got our own ways of doing things.
So are you, Stevie, are you finding that you're writing more stuff like about isolation and quarantine, or is it just a more general experience?
No, at the moment was specific issues more about trans rights. So it's a hot topic in the US and the UK. So unfortunately, lockdowns made me think about it a lot more as well. So I made a lot of other people think about it a lot more and be more vocal on social media. So I've just been shouting about it more into a microphone.
That's great.
I think one thing I'm really, really intrigued by and watching really closely, like as like in a people watching way, is like as soon as like however big a percentage of the workforce is furloughed, we all start caring more and we all start standing up for other people's rights more. And it's had this like crazy like effect of everybody going, hang on, I've been so busy trying to feed my family and working my ass off like 12 hours a day, 5 days a week. And now that we don't have to do that, we're going, whoa, wait a minute, those people are being treated like shit.
Right.
And I think that's like, everybody says that the government are pushing us back to work for the economy, but I also think it's because they're terrified that we've actually got time to evaluate the society that we're living in and the horrific way that a lot of people are having to live. And I think that's another reason they're pushing so hard to get everybody back into work, is because they're scared that we're starting to actually think and look around and realize what's going on. And there are people that are always thinking and looking and realizing, but more people now are like, I've got so many people coming to me because like a lot of my friends are trans and I'll stand up for trans rights wherever I can. And I've got a lot of my friends coming to me and going, Sam, I had no idea how badly trans people were treated. I had no idea the effects of the Gender Recognition Act. And I'm like, yeah, because you didn't have time, because you have 2 children and a full-time job. And it's a really interesting, like, it's given me a lot of faith in humanity, whereas I was giving up on humanity because no one seemed to care. But now they've been given time to care. They do fucking care. And it's like, whoa, people are actually decent, but we've been screwed for so long.
Yeah, it's no coincidence that there's people, you know, able to be in the streets day after day after day supporting Black Lives Matter, you know, like it really, like it's like everything came together at the one time and just caused a massive explosion.
Yeah. I mean, I'd never would have expected to have seen the sort of demos we had in Southend, Black Lives Matter, before lockdown. Now people are coming out and saying, hold on a minute, this is wrong. And what happened in Bristol when they first pulled down that statue and chopped it in. It was amazing. This is like
so amazing. I mean,
it's time for change.
I've been involved in activism and things for years, and like the biggest turnout we ever had in Newport was about 120 people to the Joe Cox Peace Vigil. And then for the Black Lives Matter March, there were over 3,000 people there. And I turned up thinking there'd be about maybe 200 of us. And I was just stood there in total awe of, Jesus Christ, this is a phenomenal movement because people have had time to actually go, shit. No, I'm not in bed because I've got work at 6 a.m. I'm actually like taking things in and evaluating. And it's been really weird, but I think it's given me a lot of hope.
Yeah, that's like such a good point. I feel like work culture in general is just such a distraction for the middle class because we're just trying to survive and we're just trying to like reach this status of just feeling comfortable where we're like, okay, we can be safe and comfortable, that we almost just become in this whole bubble of like not thinking about issues outside of that bubble.
And for like most of the population of the world, it's not achievable to ever be financially comfortable to the point where you can just take time off. We are all born to go to school, go to work, and by the time you retire, you're too old to make a difference. And that I don't think that's like an accident. I think that's been put in place by our governments to try and control us. Right. But then I'm the crazy punk activist, so.
Welcome to the club.
You're right. You're right.
Yeah, you're in good company. What's the mood like in Canada at the moment? Because we only hear news really about the UK, don't we?
I'm actually in the epicenter because Quebec is the epicenter of Canada, but like no one's that like freaked out because, and to everything that I like, my whole filter is I normally live in Brooklyn and New York was hit so hard. So it's just like, I'm like, Canada, even though this is the epicenter of Canada, it's not as bad as it was in New York, you know, which just seems like just tragic. But I mean, here, like, there's a lot of regulations. If you go to the pharmacy, if you go to the grocery store, that like is to keep people safe. But I'm noticing that a lot of people have just like snapped and they're like, what virus? And they're kind of just doing in a way what they want. Like I went down this really busy street and there are people in bars, people eating in restaurants, like not people wearing masks. And I mean, I get it. I mean, this is really hard. It's hard to so radically change how you live your life in such a short span of time, you know, and it's easy to just have like a mental rupture where you're like, I can't do this anymore. But I don't know. For me, I mean, I have anxiety. That's something I really struggle with. So I'm like, hey, like the quarantine is over, but the pandemic's not over. Like we can't stop like being careful. And we have to do it for people. Like we can't just say like, oh, like, young people are fine. And like, but it's like, no, we have to care for like people who are like old. We have to care for people who have pre-existing conditions. They're all part of our society.
There's a tweet that I like to share because I'm high risk because I'm on immune suppressants. And there's a tweet that I like to share whenever anybody says that. And it just says, polite reminder that when you remind people that I might be the one that dies, I can hear you. And it's like, yeah, that's how people who are high risk feel when they see that shit. They're like, hang on a minute, whoa. You know, it's not just people in their 70s or people that are already like chronically ill with an awful quality of life. There are people out there that, you know, and it's not okay for those people to die either. Yeah. But there are people forget how many people are high risk in this situation and how many people are on immune suppressants and how many people have previously undergone chemotherapy and therefore are high risk. And people just forget.
No, it's so true.
They probably know a lot of people that are high risk, but they just don't actually know that they're high risk.
No, I mean, or they could themselves be high risk because even having like diabetes, like so many people have diabetes and they don't know. So it's just like I just think like we have to be like so compassionate right now. But I mean, I think it's just hard for people sometimes, because it's just like, this is such a mentally challenging time for me. I don't know. I don't want to speak for everyone, but I mean, I'm sure it's just like, hey, I just want to go back to how it was before and go into denial, you know, and just not really
I feel kind of torn at the moment because part of me just can't wait to, especially gigs, it's really hit me hard kind of not going to gigs, not playing gigs, because that's the only kind of social life that I have really. But at the same time, they're not there and they're not safe, even if they were there. So I think even if they open venues next week and said that you can do socially distanced gigs where everyone sits down a metre apart, I don't think I'd want to go to that sort of environment. Sorry, Sam. No. Even at the pub, I can't imagine sitting on a chair listening to... Trust.
Yeah, Music Venue Trust did an audience survey, and like nobody wants to come back yet. Like I think we got something like 70,000 replies to an audience survey we sent out, and nobody wants to come back yet. It's all well and good to open the pubs, but most people don't even want to go to them, so it's just not a viable option.
No, I've definitely not felt the need to step back into a pub yet.
I'm in one every day.
Park.
I'm in one right now. I'm in one every day.
That's a little bit different when you got it yourself, though.
Just on my own, sat in a pub. Newport was the epicenter of the UK for a couple of days. We had the most cases because we've had... there was a rugby team from Italy came and played 2 weeks before the virus spike, and it was absolutely horrific. I mean, I live less than a minute's walk from our main hospital, and I just sit in my garden and just look at the hospital and think, what fucking fresh hell is occurring right by there? And it was a really weird place to be for a while.
They started opening pubs in Southend, where I'm from, this weekend. But then a few days before that, there was a news article saying that Southend's having a big increase in cases and there may be a local lockdown. It's like, why are you opening the pubs then? Why?
They did that in Bradford. Yeah, it's weird.
What are you doing? Just let it rest, for God's sake. We don't have to go down the freaking pub.
No one is literally dying for a pint. No one is dying for a pint.
You can still buy a beer down the shop. You don't have to go to the pub.
Yeah.
And you know, it's summertime. Go sit outside.
So many nice parks. Yeah.
What's amazed me is how many people have been, like, because we're doing delivery service for food and beer, and how many people will pay me £3.50 for a bottle of Corona to be delivered with their beer, with their meal, just because it's coming from a pub. And I'm like, you could buy 6 in Tesco for that price. I'm not going to say no to you adding a £3.50 bottle of Corona to your meal, but for God's sake, it's the same Corona. We don't have like magic beer that tastes better. It's weird, really weird.
Well, actually, go on. You first, Stevie.
I have this opinion that the pubs shouldn't open, but I still feel that the venues and pubs, like Sam, they still need to be supported. So
yeah, I think that's what it is, but it just blows my mind.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, in London, there's a load of the sort of little independent pubs there that are doing they're not even doing food, they're just doing beer. And you know that you could buy that beer cheaper on the internet or elsewhere. But that's not really the point. It's about trying to keep your favourite venue afloat. Yeah. So take it as a good sign.
Yeah, it's just every time an order comes in and they've like paid £3 for a can of Red Stripe, and I'm like, why? What's wrong with you? Yeah, have it. I'll have your £3. Thank you very much. Very weird.
Oh dear.
Now, Miss Eaves, you've recently had a song released.
Oh yeah, I actually have an EP coming out on Friday.
Ooh,
but this is all stuff I wrote like earlier this year. But the song is called Belly Bounce because I've always had like a little pooch or a big pooch. I don't know. I've always had a belly, but I feel like. And I mean, especially like in the United States, people are like, oh, you can be curvy, but your stomach has to be completely flat, which I just don't know if bodies work that way. If you get like, usually fat is like distributed evenly, like across the body. It's not like, oh, okay, I'll get this part bigger and this part. So I was just like, because people are constantly also asking me if I'm pregnant, which is like uncomfortable for me. It's uncomfortable for them when I'm like, I'm not. So I wish people would stop asking that. But yeah,
I mean, my youngest child is 7 now, and people still stand up for me on the bus. And I'm happy to have a seat, quite frankly.
But it's just like, come on, unless someone's water is literally breaking on your like feet, like just don't ask that question. And so I wanted to make this song that's like, hey, let's just embrace our bellies, because I feel like people are always like, suck it in, put it on a Spanx, like do all these things, you know, and it's like, let's just be like, you know, like, let's love our bodies.
It's nobody's business.
The fat liberation movement. Let's do that. Like, let's be.
That's what always blew my mind, because part of my Crohn's disease, I used to have a really protruding stomach, and I would look about 6 months pregnant at times. I don't care. What business is it of yours if I am? I don't even know you.
Right.
Like, people I vaguely know. Oh my God, when are you due? What? I'm sorry, are you going to be at the birth? Is it any of your business? You need to change your holiday plans? Yeah. Do you need to cancel your holiday so you can be at the birth? No, fuck off.
Yeah. No, it's so true. It's just like, I mean, I'm always scared that someone's going to ask me if I'm pregnant, because I'm like, then if you're like a place that I go to a lot, I'm not going to want to talk to you again, because it just makes me feel like weird.
It always used to make me paranoid about drinking as well.
Yeah.
Because I'd be outside the pub with a fag and a beer, and I'd be like, people are judging me because they assume I'm pregnant.
Oh my gosh.
I would not do this if I was pregnant.
That totally happened to me at a wedding. Like, I was at my friend's wedding. It was like a really awesome wedding, open bar, like, you know, it was like a mix of like Southern and Korean food. It was like a mix of both of her cultures. And I went up to the bar and I was like, can I get a gin and tonic? And the guy was like, I don't serve pregnant chicks. And that completely just like ruined my night.
Oh
like,
my God.
Yes. So, like, oh my gosh, like so many levels to this. Like, you know, like so many levels to what this person shouldn't have been saying to me. But yeah, I was just like, okay, like that just kind of put a damper. I was having fun, you know, I was like feeling good. And then it's just like, because when I don't know, like that whole question just bothers me. So that's like the first line of the song. It's like, no, I'm not preggo, belly just big, it shakes like jello.
No, I'm not preggo, belly just big, it shake like jello. LOL, mind your business, thanks. I'd rather breathe than squeeze and spanks. Ayy, shake my thing, belly bounces jiggling. Unashamed, won't suck it in. I get loose when I'm dancing. I've been in my body con, flattering is such a yawn. Forget cute, wanna have fun. Shaking, I'm perfection. Hit the floor with some body rolls. Serving curves, body yada yo. Belly bounce when I shake it low. Get free, I let it go. If you belly round, let it bounce, bounce, bounce. Let it bounce, let it bounce. If your belly round, let it bounce, bounce, bounce. Let it bounce, let it bounce. If your belly round, let it bounce, bounce, bounce. Let it bounce, let it bounce. If your belly round, let it bounce, bounce, bounce. Let it bounce, let it bounce. Oh, in the crop top crew, belly out, belly big, see how I do. Hey dude, what's it to you? Do my thing, I live my truth. You say I'm looking loose, serving curves with an attitude. Step back, give me some room. Clap, clap, I'm done with you. So, I pop my gut. Curves aren't just my hips and butt. Do my thing, wear what I want. Stay mad, I'm confident. Okay, came here to slay. So I shake my belly. This my jam, please fall back. Must be jelly when it shake like that. If your belly round, let it bounce, bounce, bounce. Let it bounce, let it bounce. If your belly round, let it bounce, bounce, bounce. Let it bounce, let it bounce. If your belly round, let it bounce, bounce, bounce. Let it bounce, let it bounce. If your belly round, let it bounce, bounce, bounce. Let it bounce, let it bounce. Won't waste my time feeling bad. I won't hide in a burlap sack. Don't ask me if I'm pregnant or size me up, I'm over it. I'm thick, belly, thighs, and ass. My health, none of your business. So what? Belly bouncing. So yup, keep your opinions. I let it bounce, I let it bounce, I let it bounce, bounce, bounce. I let it bounce, I let it bounce, I let it bounce, bounce, bounce. I let it bounce, I let it bounce, I let it bounce, bounce, bounce. I let it bounce, I let it bounce, I let it bounce, bounce, bounce. If your belly round, let it bounce, bounce, bounce. let it bounce, let it bounce. If your belly round, let it bounce, bounce, bounce. Let it bounce, let it bounce. If your belly round, let it bounce, bounce, bounce. Let it bounce, let it bounce. If your belly round, let it bounce, bounce, bounce. Let it bounce, let it bounce.
It's such a cool video.
It's a quarantine video, so I just like asked, like I think I ended up having like 100 people in it. So I just asked a bunch of different people to just send videos of them dancing, and I just edited it together. Like I put their best moments when they were like really getting in it. I was like, okay.
So good. All different kind of shapes and sizes, and
yeah, like everyone.
empowering.
Like that's what I want my videos to be. I just want it to be like a world where you just see like all the kinds of people that exist in the world, and it's not just limited to like what is like mainstream or like in mass media. It's like, let's see the world how it is. Like that's what makes it interesting.
Definitely. And as you say as well, there's often that thing about kind of, you know, you're allowed to be a bigger woman as long as you've got curves in the right places, you know.
Right.
But
only those places and not any other places.
Yeah.
Right. And it's just like, that's so silly. Like, why is it anyone's right to decide what anyone's body should look like, you know, and like, let us define who we are ourselves. And then people respect that. Like we give people, this is how we define ourselves and this is how we see ourselves, and just let people run with that and not putting their own expectations on us. It's just like not cool.
How did you get started as a rapper? Where did you come from?
Oh, wow. Long story. So I was dating someone, and I was just a designer, and I like really wanted people to clap for me because I like that. I like when people. So then they were like a punk noise musician, and I was just like, okay, can we be in a band together? And so we made a band. And then when that relationship was over, I was like, oh, I still want to do it. So I started the Miss Eaves project, and Miss Eaves project is just me figuring out kind of DIYing all the stuff. And like, I mean, at first I made my own beats, but now I don't because I wasn't so good at it. But yeah, so I've been doing it for almost 12 years, but Miss Eaves project has been for like almost 10 years. And so that's why I was really shocked when Thunder Thighs blew up, because I was like, y'all, I've been working in obscurity for like a while, you know, and now, okay, that's cool. I'm happy, you know, it's given me so many opportunities, and I've met cool people because of like Thunder Thighs, and it's given me a platform too to talk about my like lefty politics, but yeah.
It's interesting that you came originally from a punk band, because I've always kind of felt that you had this kind of punk ethos, and that's where it came from. You're a punk at heart.
Yeah, it was like noisy. It was kind of like I was still rapping, but it was like just scream rapping in the microphone, and there was like a live drummer, and we had like an electro backing track. And yeah, it was just like kind of noisy and like punky, and we would just play like dirty basements and just like
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, it does sound great.
Is it still out there? Are there artifacts of this era available?
Some, but it was like such a messy breakup. It's like, I'm scared to share.
We won't mention that anymore.
Isn't it awful how like relationships define your own output?
Yeah, totally.
It sucks that like the stuff in your life that you've done that you're really proud of, but you don't want to talk about it because you associate it with a shitty person.
Yeah.
And that's like, it's almost, they're still controlling you, and that sucks.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, stuff that I used to do when I was with someone I have absolutely no respect for anymore. And in a way, I don't respect the stuff that I did then because I associate it with them, and it's like, oh, that sucks.
And also, too, it was so long ago. It's like also that thing where you made something a long time ago and you can see your growth now, and you're like, oh, that's kind of embarrassing that like, I mean, I know you have to start somewhere, but then it's just like, and then it's tied to that like toxic, weird relationship. So I'm just like, I'll just not share it widely.
I was in a band when I was 16, and we signed to TJ's Records, which was our local like venue. And then when the owner died, I was 34. So we got back together for a reunion gig, and it was this huge like tribute to him, and there were thousands of people there. And the lyrics were so like what the hell was I singing about? Like drinking cider in parks and kissing boys. And I'm like, I'm fucking in my 30s. What am I doing? And it was a really weird like thing. And we did 2 gigs, and there was one review that was like, the band was still great, but the singer looked like she wanted the earth to open up at her feet and swallow her. And I was like, yeah, it's spot on me. I really did. I hated every second of it. It was weird.
I never knew that. I never knew you'd been in a band.
No.
Yeah, we were shit. we were fucking terrible. Absolutely hideous. But it was fun. It was what it was. It was fun.
Everyone
sounds
should be in a band
amazing.
at some point.
I love shit bands. Like,
next time
I've been in several, and you know.
Next time you guys come to the pub, I will give you a vinyl, because we were so long time ago that it only exists on vinyl.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it went straight from DAT to vinyl, and no one even knows where the DAT is. But I still have some vinyl. So next time you guys come, remind me, and I'll get you a copy.
Oh yeah, it's rarity.
Just to laugh at.
Oh, I can't wait to come and play the pub again.
No, nor me.
I can't wait to have people in the pub again. It's so lonely.
No.
It gets so creepy. We've ripped the toilets out. We've done loads of work, but it's really creepy and lonely sometimes. You're like, why am I here on my own? There should be hundreds of my friends here. I don't like it.
I hope you've installed new toilets.
We've got kind of new toilets, yeah.
Now it's a pit in the ground, Stevie.
Yeah. No, we had a leak. We had a leak in the men's ceiling for 3 years, and it wasn't that bad, but it kept creating a damp patch. And every builder that came in was like, oh no, you've got to take down your entire ceiling and close for 2 weeks. And we couldn't afford to. So lockdown was actually an ideal opportunity to rip down the ceiling and finally fix that fucking leak. So there is no longer a leak. You no longer get a shower from the dishwasher when you're having a wee. It's great.
That's one silver lining for sure.
Good job it was not the other way around.
Yeah, it is.
Awesome.
So what's next for Miss Eaves? What are your plans after moving to Canada?
Well, I mean, I want to work on new music. I'm becoming more and more productively anxious, not like completely like frozen. So I want to work on a full-length album. I'm going to start writing that soon. I have an EP coming out on Friday. So, but I don't know when this is coming out. So it'll be out by the time this podcast is out for sure. So it's called How It Is. And it's just like, there's songs just about like how the world is, like about a song about the gig economy and how it's not okay that we're working 3 jobs and we're still struggling and we can't like pay our bills and we can't pay our student loans off, which we were told if we go to school, we can like get a job that will make us comfortable. And that's just like a lie. So there's a song about that, and just about like not having a lot of cash. So stacking bread and sandwiches instead of stacking cash.
Hooray!
Yay!
Thank you all so much for joining us on our first podcast.
Doriscast.
Yeah.
Doriscast, yeah.
Yeah.
I like it.
I like it.
Lovely to see you all.
Good to see you all.
Good to see
Thanks for having
everyone.
us.
Yeah, thanks for taking the time, and thanks for all your opinions. It's been really fascinating to hear from like 3 sort of very different people in very different situations, and like all the things you guys are going through. And I found it really informative. So thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thanks
very
for having
much.
us.
Okay,
Cool.
speak to you all soon then. I'm going to end this.
Bye.
Bye.
Panic on the school run and the kids are starting fights. Cat piss on the homework and pants outside my tights. I forgot to brush my teeth and the baby's mouth smells. But I make it to the school gate. I'm saved by the bell. Wonder Woman, Superwoman, every woman, you're too fine. Working through my lunch break and I dream of 9 to 5. But my boss is on my back, so I'll do time. Why live beyond your powers?